Hi. Okay, I'm gonna do as quick as I can video on how I made these little boxes so that's how the clock cards go together, and that's what makes them stand up. This one is a square box because it's a square card. On this card, it has a rectangular box because the card is rectangular. Okay, so let's do a square one like this one. It's going to be just like this. This box is 4 by 4 and it's 1 inch deep. Okay, and the lid fits all the way down over the bottom. And then I'll show you how to put it on a card, a clock card thingy, to make it stand upright. So your lid, or let's do the bottom first. So the bottom, you want your box to be 4 by 4. So you have to add 1 inch all the way around, which turns this into a 5 by 5 to start with. And then you're going to score it at 1 inch on all 4 sides. Okay, that one's already scored. This is the lid. The lid needs to be a tiny bit bigger. So I've cut this piece of paper to 5 1/16 by 5 1/16. Okay? And then you do the same thing. Score it at 1 inch all the way around. And that extra 1/16 of an inch is going to make it to where it slides down over the bottom. Okay, let me get rid of this. We're done with that. And then you need to burnish all your folds before you do any cutting. So just all 4 sides, on the top and the bottom. Okay, now what you have to do is you have to cut up from this little square in the corner. You want to cut here just up to this score line right here. And you're going to do that on all 4 sides. So just cut right to that score line. And then you're going to take out a little sliver. It's like a little pie piece. There's no exact way to do it. It's just eyeball it. Okay? Cut this side. Cut out a little sliver. Turn it around, do the other 2. Trying to make sure you can see. Pull that out. It's hard to see. At least on my TV. I can see what I'm doing on my TV. But I think when you're watching the video, this is easier to see. Okay, so you've got all 4 slits made. That's the bottom. You're going to do the exact same thing for the lid. Take out a little sliver. And this is the same for any size box you want to make. You just have to figure out what size you want your box to be when it's done and how deep you want it to be. And the lid doesn't have to fit all the way down over the bottom. You could make the lid, you know, half the size so that you still see some of the bottom of the box when the lid's on, you know, like you can just make the lid go down that far. It's just all in whatever size paper you start with to begin with. Okay, so now that we've done that, and our folds, everything's folded in like this, so we lay them down this way. And then all 4 of these are going to get adhesive. Okay? For the top and the bottom. And I'm just going to use tape runner instead of glue, but I would normally use glue, because you want your boxes to stay together. And then you just fold these up and those get pushed in, and then this end comes up, and you want to make sure that this end right here is perfectly lined up with this corner. You want a nice square box. You don't want a wonky box. Nobody likes a wonky box. Okay, so all 4 sides. Okay, and that's the lid. And then we're going to do the bottom. And same thing, fold those in. Make sure your corners line up. I wasn't real careful when I was folding this, so it's not perfect, but just be careful when you're doing your folding on your score lines and make sure it's nice and neat. Okay, so that's the bottom. So now the lid will fit down right over that bottom. And it's nice and tight, so it won't fall out really easy because you don't want your card to fall apart. Okay, see, like when these are together, this one's actually a little bit loose, but it stays together when it's standing up. And that's what you want. This one I made really tight. You have to kind of pull it. It's getting looser as I play with it, but... Okay, so let's pretend like this is your clock card, okay? So you've got your front and your back. And so like on this card, I didn't decorate the back side of the front or the back at all, okay? But I've just made it for me, so I didn't like make it all super fancy. But like this one, so that's the front. And then I also cut another die cut. Well, there's the shadow layer in between there. So there's a die cut, then there's the ivory shadow layer, then there's another red die cut on the back, and then I attached the lid, and the same with the back. There's actually 4 die cuts, and then the back side also has a die cut. So when it's together, and you're looking down in there, it's all pretty from the front or the back. Like everything is decorated. Okay. So let's just pretend like that's decorated and that's decorated. You don't have to though. I mean, you could just turn it around to where you're looking at the front that's pretty and then the back is pretty and then the middle is, you could leave the middle just blank if you want. It doesn't matter. Let's just pretend like we're going to have it like this, and pretend that side's pretty and pretend that side's pretty, okay? And now we've got our box. So what we have to do is we need to figure out where we want our box. So I am going to kind of want it centered as best I can, like that, okay? And then what you can do is you can like draw a little line right here, so that you can line that corner back up over there with those little marks. And if you just kind of go over them just slightly, then you're not even going to see them. And then you can just, I'm going to bring this closer to me so that I can make sure that it's, okay. This one is down lower. So like it's kind of centered side to side and it's down lower. So I'm going to move it up just a little bit. So I'm going to put it back on those marks, and then I'll just slide it up just a smidge. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm going to make a new mark over here. There. So now I just need to remember that, well, actually I can just erase this one. There. So there's my new marks for where I want that to be. Okay. So, what was that, the back? Yeah, and that was the bottom. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to glue the bottom on. And I'm just going to put some tape runner on here, but normally you would use glue. I'm just doing tape runner because it's fast. Okay, so you put that back down. Make sure it's nice and straight. And then you can take something, you can use your hand or whatever. I've been using the little bone folder thingy, and just kind of push it down and make sure that it's stuck down there. Okay, so that's the bottom of the box. That's the back of the card. Now you got the front of the card. And this has to go on this side. So what I like to do is put a little adhesive on there. Not a whole lot, because you're going to want to pull it off. Put the lid on the box. And then you're going to look at this. And these square ones, they make it really easy, because you can just kind of go like this and line the sides up. And then kind of go like, make sure it's not attached. Go like that. And then you want to look at it from the side, because you want to make sure that it's not leaning. So like if you get the front down lower than the back of the card, oh, I just put it on nice and straight. That was an accident. Here, we'll put it, make sure it's really low. Okay. Do you see how that card is leaning backwards? Because the front piece is lower than the back piece. And then the same thing happens if the back piece is higher, it's going to tilt toward the front. Okay? So you want to kind of just lay it on there gently and stand it up. Make sure it's not attached. Stand it up. Turn it to the side. And make sure it's standing up nice and straight and it's not leaning one way or the other. So then I'm going to take that lid off. Wait a second. Oh. So an easy thing that you can do if you have this is this Kalal all-purpose glue, and it does not dry super fast. Like this art glitter glue, it dries almost instantly and you don't have any wiggle time. So I like to use this. I'm sure you could find other glues that don't dry super fast. You want to make sure you get plenty on there so that you want to get out toward the edges and make sure that it gets a nice bond. Okay, now see, I can slide this around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it on there and kind of eyeball it. Look at it. Oh God, it's leaning way forward. That means the front is way too low. So I got to slide it back. Oh, that's not right either. Okay. All right, I slid it down to where now it's standing up straight. And then we're going to look at that. That's straight as well. Okay, see, it's perfectly straight. And then you're just going to let that dry. And then you just pull. Normally, I would use heavier cardstock or double it up, like add another shadow layer back here for extra stability, because this really gives way too much when you want to try and pull it apart. But anyway, so it just comes apart like this. And that's your little box card for your clock. And if you wanted to make it an actual clock, the little mechanism would fit in here, and you would just have to poke a hole in the center and then put your little, you know, one of these little things like this little tiny clock has. It would just fit right in there. And in the middle, right there where you attach the hands, you just poke the middle part through the hole. It would come up, and then you'd stick your hands on. And you could put some glue in there first if you want to glue it down. If the little thing that sticks out of the middle of the clock sticks way out and you have enough of it, you could attach it to the bottom and then put the lid on. And if it's long enough, it'll poke up through your hole. And then that way, when you pull it apart, your clock's in the back. Oh no, you can't do that. No, what am I even thinking? That's just ridiculous. You have to have your clock attached to the front. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to open the box. So you would attach your clock in here, and then you'd be able to just pull the back off. So I might get some. We don't have any place that has little clocks around here, so I might have to order some. So then I just decorated the sides with, I use these little border folders. Let me see if I can find one real quick. Yeah, so there's these little border folders that she used to put out when Cricket was doing her stuff. She doesn't do that anymore, but they're really handy though when you want to make a little border, because they're just about 1 inch, the design anyway. So I just put it on all 4 sides so it's pretty. And then I embossed a little piece of paper and stuck that down in there, and I did the same thing on the bottom. This is the back, so that's the bottom of the box. So I put another little embossed piece of paper in there and a little die cut. And then there's a little tiny card. I just found a little, this is from one of those new dies that we just got from the auto ship. Anyway, so that just fits right in there. You put anything you want in there. And then that just fits right on and stands up really well. They're kind of handy. This is the one I just got done making a little bit ago. I like how this one turned out. So this card, hold on just a sec. Let me get the card. For the beginners that have a hard time picturing what I did. So this is a card base that came in the China cabinet set, and I just cut this part off. Oops. I cut the back off, and then I just fussy cut around the design and then cut that out. And then for stability, I took the back piece, and once I had this cut out, I glued it to the back piece. And then I fussy cut around it again. That way it's perfect. You can't, there's no, they're both the same because I glued them together and then just cut around this one again, if that makes sense. So it's really sturdy, glued them together. So I did that on the front and the back. And I used this part right here so that that would be on there so I could write my name on it. So that's really all there is to it. I used, this die cut here came with the clock set. This is a wreath from the China cabinet stuff. This little bird is from the window ledge dies that came out a long time ago. And then all this little greenery is Anna Griffin mini flowers, and the foliage dies for these little ivory things. And then these little flowers are from my stash. So okay, that's it. I hope that helped you out.